recorded for one night. And then it was like the night on Bald Mountain, Walpurgis knocked. Everything went crazy. Everything went flying to pieces. Fights and screaming, and then back to the motel, and footsteps up and down the hall, and doors slamming, and maybe there were shots being fired, I don't know. There were some frictions between some of the people who were there with Aretha, and some of the players. So Aretha got out of town that morning. So when I got back to New York, I was terribly excited about I Never Loved a Man. The distributors heard about it and they said, okay, we're ready for a record. We didn't have a record because we had one side of a record. And I couldn't find Aretha. Well, ultimately, I located her. And we finished this record, and to me it was just a fabulous piece of improvisation of finishing this record, put together with spit, chewing gum, and baling wire.
And I'm stuck like glue, 'cause I ain't never loved a man the way that I love you.
My first big record there was I Never Loved a Man. That was my first million-selling record. I never loved a man the way I love you.
We didn't make her a star. She was always a star. She'll forever be a star. We just got her into a popular acceptance level in one slot.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us meet Miss Aretha Franklin.
At Atlantic, Aretha made more than a commercial breakthrough. Aretha found her style, blending her gospel vocals and inventive piano playing with secular love songs. Aretha defined soul music as an expression of the 60s Black Pride movement and her own inner feelings. From 1967 into the mid-1970s, it was a rare Aretha recording that was not a soul classic.
When Aretha came on the scene, as far as how I would rank her, I would certainly have to put her among the creators, you know, people who genuinely create the sound that other people wish they could do. Aretha continued what Ray Charles started, which was the secularization of gospel music, of taking gospel melodies, gospel emotion, gospel rhythms, and putting the devil's words to them.
One of the reasons for some of the hits at Atlantic was my gospel background being merged with the popular or R&B stylings. So I think that certainly, along with company promotion, etc., had something to do with the records being successful.
I take great pleasure in presenting to you the Cashbox Achievement Award for 1967. You finished first in singles, first on albums, and first in rhythm and blues.
Aretha also won all the awards available to a female vocalist in Record World magazine.
Aretha was viewed as more than an entertainer. She stood as a potent symbol of black advancement. Her voice was one tangible example of black power. And in her own way, Aretha touched America as profoundly as any civil rights leader.
You got young people now that could tell you more about Aretha than they could tell you about the civil rights movement. I can hear Aretha in the 60s. I'm not saying you can't hear her now, but then I could hear 3 or 4 times an hour. Well, I never heard King except on the news.
Dr. King was a wonderful, wonderful, fine man, as well as a civil rights leader. He and my dad were great friends. My dad brought him to Detroit and introduced him to the city of Detroit through the New Bethel Baptist Church.
If Martin needed money, he could make one phone call to Reverend Franklin, and that money was there. also that Reverend Franklin could deliver his daughter over whatever record executives or managers would say. And I think that was Aretha's uniqueness. You didn't go through an agent to get Aretha. You went through her daddy.
He very definitely had an appreciation for gospel music. One of his favorite songs was Precious Lord, and he would always ask me to sing that for him.
Precious, 'cause you're precious, Lord. And I know you'll reach out and take my, you take our hand. You'll lead us home. Because when the way and the wind drill right now, but all we need is you, Jesus, to linger right there.
Most people don't know how much work she did with Martin Luther King. She devoted an enormous piece of her life to Martin Luther King, which meant giving of herself, yet she herself was not a sloganeer or a polemicist.
And in every one of our lives is almost done.
This was acting out of the purest wellsprings of faith and belief.
When you look at the whole time, the whole change that America was going through, and Aretha came through with the new image. Aretha had a new dignity.
Rock steady, baby, that's what I feel now. Let's all song exactly what it is. Step through the feeling from side to side. Sit yourself down in the car and take a ride. While you're moving, rock steady, baby. We'll call the song exactly what it is. What it is, what it is, what it is. It's a fucking load I'm feeling. What it is, get the hips on every right. What it is, somebody can do it. It's fucking dance all night.
Every song that she did bespoke her condition at that time, because if it didn't, she couldn't sing it. When Aretha was having emotional problems or personal problems, it might be difficult to get her to commit to the studio. And she might even, let's say if she was living in Detroit, she might even come into New York and find it impossible to leave the hotel and come into the studio.
When we started working with her, of course, Ted was there. And I always felt that he was pretty much jealous of anybody that would get close to her except for him and her immediate family members. I remember when she went through breakups with him, or the final breakup, I remember, she was highly depressed. And we'd come up to New York for the session, and maybe she wouldn't show for the session. Call Me is a perfect example, I think, of some of the feelings she was having. I think she may have cried during the lyric of that song, because she definitely had us crying.
I think she sort of stands out for us, for me in particular, as a woman who has not always faced it that easily in order to get to the top, but who has conquered as she, soared to the heights and gave us the feeling that you can do it too. You can overcome the obstacles that are out there before you.